The more specific you are with who you're selling for, the more likely you're going to get a transaction. Oftentimes when I'm doing consulting or if I'm speaking, people will tell me, oh, my ideal client is middle-aged men. Okay, what age is that? Oh, middle age, like 38 to 58. And I'm like, that's a big spectrum, because how you sell to a 38-year-old man and how you sell to a 58-year-old man are wildly different. Do you believe in coincidences, specifically business coincidences? Do you ever wonder why people aren't buying? Well, I'm here to share with you 3 reasons why people aren't buying. But wait, I realize that there are actually 5 reasons, and I'm gonna get to that in a second. But before I do that, I wanna make sure that at the end of this episode, you're gonna get to know exactly what you need to get people to start buying. Welcome to the Jasmine Star Show, where today we're gonna be focusing on getting sales and getting people to buy what it is you're selling. Welcome, we're gonna hit the ground running. Okay, so let me back up a little bit. Hang on, let me have a little sip of coffee. This is my first cup of coffee of the day. We are starting podcasting so early this morning, so welcome to the show. Pull up a nice warm or cold beverage because we're gonna get this party started. Specifically a beverage with caffeine because y'all, we're gonna need this. So I want to back up a little bit. It's a couple weeks ago and I couldn't sleep. It's around 3:30 in the morning. And I was like, I'm awake. I'm going to do the dang thing. I start my morning routine around 4 o'clock. And by 4:30, I am sitting at my desk and I am writing this podcast episode. So I'm just head down doing the dang thing, coming up with the 3 reasons why people aren't buying. So then it hits around 5:15 and I'm like, I'm done. I'm done with this podcast. I'm going to head to the gym. So I go to the gym, I work out, I get ready for the day, and then I do business coaching on the inside of Social Curator starting at 9 a.m. And would you not believe that at 9 a.m., I sit back and I get asked this same question from Amanda.
My question is, why am I not getting sales and how can I figure out why they're not coming through?
So I want to be very clear. When I do business coaching on the inside of Social Curator, I don't know who's going to come on camera. I don't know what questions are going to be asked. Everything is coming out of the blue. So I'm asking myself, well, isn't this a little bit of a business coinkydink that I sat at that same desk a few hours earlier and came up with the 3 reasons? I showed up and I was like, Amanda, I got the 3 reasons ready for you. So instead of sharing that bit of the coaching, I'm going to share the 3 reasons why people aren't buying and then how this coaching session actually changed the 3 reasons into 5. Prepare yourself. Okay, so I understand that in the session that I'm about to show you, I am going to show you a clip of that. It was in the moment that I realized that sometimes when I am speaking about business, to many people, it sounds high level and esoteric. And I don't want that. I want us to know that the biggest and the best businesses are built on foundations. The same foundations done extraordinarily well. So reason number 1 why people aren't buying. It is an unclear transformation. So people buy things for a desired outcome. Nobody wants to spend money to spend money. They want to say, I have a problem, I have a desire, and I want to become or have something different. We are buying a transformation. Now, I'm going to use this example and I want to go to 3 different business examples through this podcast so you can kind of find yourself in the middle and say, okay, I think I'm understanding this a little bit more. So if there's an unclear transformation and people want to buy something, they want to go to a conference so that they become a better person. They want to go to a dentist so they don't have stinky teeth. Okay, so if we were to use an example of a parenting coach, that parent who wants a parenting coach is frustrated, totally overwhelmed. That's who they are, but who do they want to become? They want to become somebody who's thoughtful and patient. That's why they would be investing in a parenting coach. Now, let's say that you're a veterinarian. Well, you have a sick pet, and what you want is a healthy pet. You're paying from the transformation from a sick pet to a healthy pet. Now, let's say you own a yoga studio, and you're selling a yoga membership. Well, the people who you're selling to, well, they're unflexible, they're stressed, they feel very overwhelmed, and who do they actually want to be? They want to be healed, they want to experience peace, they want to experience health. You're selling the transformation. If you are not sure what you're selling as the transformation, that's one of the reasons why people are probably not buying. Now, when people are unclear or uncertain about the transformation, they don't buy because they're like, I'm not sure that I'm going to get the thing that I want. Not because they don't think that you can give them what they want. They actually don't know exactly what it is you're selling. So if you don't have a clear transformation, I want you to pause and think real clear. What is it that somebody wants, or who do they want to become after investing in my offer? Reason number 2 why people aren't buying. the outcome likelihood, and the effort required. Okay, let me just break this down. People want to know, how hard is this going to be? How much am I have to work for it? Okay, so a reason why people might be buying is when people understand the transformation. When they say, oh, I'm currently this and I become to that, the next thing we need to do is address how likely is this transformation and how much time or effort will it be? So when you're thinking about this in terms of business, the best case scenario is a guaranteed outcome and very little effort. Okay, that's like the best business. If I could sell a magic pill that will get a guaranteed effort with little outcome, I'd be a billionaire, right? And so I need us right now to find out, where are we on the likely outcome and effort spectrum? So let's go back to our examples. Let's say I'm a parenting coach and what I want to sell is my parenting coaching. Now, parents who are considering buying my offer, they have to, number one, believe they can change. And then number two, they have to think, okay, how likely is it that I can change? And how likely is it that I can be thoughtful and patient? Ooh, is that going to take a lot of work? We have to address those things. How likely can you become a better parent? I have to believe it. I have to show you, and I have to tell you it's possible. Now, let's just say if I don't believe that I could be a thoughtful and patient person as a parent, then a parenting coach is going to have to come to me, and they're going to have to share things like testimonials to increase my belief, to share examples or stories of other people who didn't think that the outcome was likely and they weren't sure if they could actually become that person. And they want to show the long-term benefits. They want to say that when you invest in parenting coaching, it's not just helping yourself with a 3-year-old, but a 13-year-old and a 30-year-old. And then you also, when you have an outcome that I believe the outcome is likely, I can become a better parent, but it's going to take a lot of effort. In this type of situation, you want to talk about an idealized future. So you're going to use testimonials to shift my beliefs. You're going to show the long-term benefits of investing and doing the time now because it pays dividends in the future. And then speaking of the future, the idealized future. Who do you want to be? Okay, so now let's apply the reason number 2 why people aren't buying, right? How likely is this and how much effort is going to be required? Let's apply it to a veterinarian. Now, if I take my sick pet to the vet, there's a likely outcome that the vet's going to help me. Average likely outcome. And how much effort is it going to take for me to take my pet to the vet? Average effort. So average outcome, average effort. Okay, if you have a business where you're putting something out there where it's average outcome, hey, there's a likelihood that you're going to get this outcome and it doesn't take too much work. It'll require you to do a little bit of work. Great. Then when we're dealing with this type of offer, we want to focus on the quality of the product or service. We want to know that of all the other vets that you can go to, we are going to offer quality care and quality service. And I want you to think about your business. If you have an average outcome, if you have an average effort, you want to focus on the quality. You want to highlight the ease of what it is that you're selling, how professional, how simple, how effective it is to use your offer to buy from your business. And if possible, if I was this vet, if I had any awards, if I had won any sort of press, if I have reviews or testimonials, I'm also sharing that. So right now, reason number 2 why people aren't buying is, how likely is this transformation and how much work is it going to be? So we went to the parenting coach, and this is like, oh, it's a likely outcome. We believe you can change, but it's going to require a lot of work. When it's requiring a lot of work, we have to show testimonials. We have to show an idealized future. Now with the vet, we have an average likely outcome and an average effort. In this case, we want to highlight service, quality, ease, how much better you are than the competition and other people in the neighborhood. Now, let's use the example of a yoga membership. It is an average likely outcome. If you go into practice yoga, it's an ongoing practice. You will likely feel more calm. You will likely get progressed flexibility. And it's kind of an average to high effort. It's going to require a lot of people to be the consistent yoga member. Now, if that is the case, then what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are highlighting the idealized future. What are the benefits of putting forth this effort? How can we use community? How can we use other people within the business to validate and co-sign on their ideas? So, reason number 1 why people aren't buying. we went through and we talked about, well, we're not sure actually what we're getting, the unclear transformation. Reason number 2 why people aren't buying is, what's the likely outcome? Like, am I really going to get this? And how hard is it going to be? And we went through ways that we can say, okay, if it's going to require a lot of effort, then we have to talk about it. We have to sell it this way. We have to market this way. Now, the third reason why people aren't buying is the ideal client hasn't been identified. I actually heard Alex Hermosi say that sometimes he has to niche slap people. Niche slap. Like, we got to know our niche. Like, we got to know exactly who it is. Oftentimes when I'm doing consulting or if I'm speaking, people will tell me, oh, my ideal client is middle-aged men. Okay, well, what age is that? Oh, middle age, like 38 to 58. And I'm like, that's a big spectrum, because how you sell to a 38-year-old man and how you sell to a 58-year-old man are wildly different. People say, well, my niche is busy moms. Okay, well, busy moms of teenagers or busy moms of toddlers? Because how you're selling to them is entirely different. People say, oh, I'm a recruiter. I help people who are looking for a job. Okay, cool. Are you helping people in C-suite executives find jobs, or somebody who is looking for a cashier at the grocery store? Like, these are two wildly different sets of people. So we have to be very, very, very clear who we are selling for, because the more specific you are with who you're selling for, the more likely you're going to get a transaction. Better yet, the clear the transformation, right? I help C-suite executives land in a Fortune 500 company. That's the clear transformation and the outcome likelihood. And we have a 90% successful placement rate. Okay, with very little effort, turn over and we will optimize your resume for you, and a specific niche for high performing peak performers in the corporate world. Okay, when you have all of those things in alignment, you should be able to move sales, right? When we have a clear transformation, we know what it is we're buying. When we have a likely outcome and not so much effort, and when we have a very clear ideal client. So those are my 3 reasons. So as I'm sitting in this business coaching session with Amanda, guess what? She had all those 3 things. She should have been getting sales, but she wasn't. So with her permission, I'm going to be sharing a snippet of our business coaching session from Social Curator right about now, and then we're going to come back. Amanda, so good to see you.
Hi. Oh my God, so good to see you too. I was like praying that I would get on to talk to you.
Oh,
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you.
okay.
My question is, why am I not getting sales, and how can I figure out why they're not coming through? And I wrote down some stats just to give you like an overview of how the first quarter has gone,
Okay.
if you want to hear those.
Yes, please.
Okay, so in general, average, my website is getting 1,000 views per month and 412 visits. My weekly newsletter has a 50% open rate. I got 100 new followers last month on Instagram, and my reels are getting anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000 views. But my sales have been 0. And I don't understand, like, with all these eyeballs, like, nobody wants anything. Like, and I have 50 products. So it's like, it's a wide range of really great stuff. So do you have any insight of like what could be causing this, what I need to look at, like ways to just figure out like why people are not clicking the purchase button?
Okay. Hand to heaven, this morning, I woke up very early and I started working on a future podcast. These are my notes. Like, you think it'd be like very fancy. It's not. It's just on a note card, and it said, this is why people aren't buying. I don't know if you could see it. This is
Yeah.
why people aren't buying.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
have
Tell
like
me.
main points. And so it's like, I'm like freaking
Perfect.
prepared for this. Like,
Good. Okay.
yeah,
I was like
like,
sending you those vibes, and you're like,
yeah,
I need to
it's
talk
like, oh,
about
shout out. That was like a divine alignment. Okay, so there's actually, when I heard this, I probably will be going to go through and add another point to your question. But what I had written down is, and this goes back to one of the things that we just spoke about with Michelle, is we got to get very clear on the transformation. Now you're saying I sell products. I'm not really changing people's lives, but the transformation becomes the transformation. Who are they now, and who do they want to become? So who are they now, Amanda? And then who do they want to become?
Who they are now is someone who's interested in miniatures, women in their 40s that want to get into doll housing and have really cool, amazing designer doll houses, but don't know where to go for like designer approved products that are very cool and to purchase from someone who's passionate. So the way
Right.
the business is set up is kind of like Etsy. So I'm Etsy and I own the mini mall. And then each of the girls have their own little shops in there. So it's like a collection of other miniature artisans, and they have their own little shops with different products and things. And then I promote them and use my interior design skills and like showcase them and do lives and send out newsletters and all of that.
So you have a marketplace for dollhouse goods.
Yeah, strictly
And
for
so,
dollhouse miniatures.
and if I went to actually, all right, let's bring this up.
Ah, okay.
Let's bring it up. Okay. And don't judge my desktop, okay? Just don't judge my
Never,
desktop. It just
never.
all the tabs and all the ways. Can I have your URL?
Yeah, so it'd be the main URL is the designer dollhouse, but there's the dollhouse mini mall. It goes
Wait,
directly
no,
to,
no, 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 no. Wait, actually, let's go back. Let's go to Instagram.
yeah.
And what is your Instagram?
So the dollhouse mini mall. Let's do that one.
This is the one that you're getting 1,000 to
Yeah.
3,000. Okay, great. Oops, I must have
It's the
dollhouse.
dollhouse. The
Oh,
dollhouse. I know.
great. Okay. And so great. I land on your page. I had come across from this adorable staircase or this
So
mug.
that, yeah. So that staircase one is a great example. That's something that I created, and then I show the products and how people can use it in their own. And that one was like pretty popular. That's got like 35 or 33,500 views for
Yeah, that's
like
great.
shares, but it shows the products and like links to it. I always put a thing at the end where like promotes the mini mall, and it was like fun, but it like shows like how to set it up. This one we flip it and show two different ways. Like, and this is in a bookcase. So it's like a way that someone could incorporate miniatures, which is
So if
good
I
for
wanted this staircase, I'm going to come up here.
you. Can't buy that one. That's part of the tiny house, but you could buy the goodies in the staircase.
Okay, so right here, you ask why people aren't buying. If you have to explain to me that it doesn't exist or it's part of a different collection, confusion is the number one reason why somebody won't buy. So I'm gonna do what I would do if I saw this.
Okay.
I would come here and I'm like, I want that doll case. I want that staircase. I want it for my books. I would come here and I'd be like, I'd probably go to Shop Mini Mall. So I'm gonna go to Mini Mall and okay, so I can read that it's gonna be the house of my dreams. It's unique. And then I would probably go to, okay, I'd go to shop. I'm just talking you through what I would do. And so it's like, okay. And I would say vendors, product types, okay. And then I'd be like, I got one more search in me. This is what I do all the time. I'm an
Yeah.
avid Instagram buyer. I want to know user journey. This is the stuff that I study. People think that I'm weird. I probably am, but I love understanding what are people looking for. So I would immediately go to, I'm trying to find where I can search.
So there
You
is a
can't,
search,
you
but it's
can't,
on the
you can't
main
explain it to
page.
me. You can't explain it to me.
Yeah.
So you're literally, and this is what we do and did for Social Curator. We would watch people come in and they wouldn't know how to navigate the site, and it would
Right.
break my heart. So
Okay.
as you're watching this, and I'm like, okay, wait, I want to search for staircase. So I would come down, and I'm telling you right now, if I did those 3 clicks from Instagram to the page to the product type, I scrolled. I didn't immediately see what I was looking for. I'm now looking for a search button and there's no search button. I'm off the page.
Right.
I'm off the page.
Right.
So, and so, um, yeah, that's 100%.
Okay.
We're sitting here talking about transformation and I'm like, oh, I can just walk you through ease of flow. Now, let's say I was very, very, very dedicated I
Same.
was, okay, I'm going to come back and now I'm going to come back here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shop for what was listed on Instagram as a staircase. So there's
Yes,
different
I don't
results.
have, yeah, because I don't sell it. But in the Instagram post, like I list the products and who made it. But I thought about just selling the staircase separate, but that's like part of the tiny house, which I'm not really selling either. So you think
Okay.
that's it?
I mean, absolutely. Like,
Okay,
if your consumer, like in the best case scenario, you get 3 clicks that somebody actually wants to be on a checkout page.
right.
3 clicks. Anything over 3 clicks, there is a drastic drop off of what somebody will buy. And so I would just think I'm inept or I'm dumb because I can't find the thing that I'm actually looking for. And so
Right.
I would 100%, if I were you, I think that the best Instagram accounts and the best merchant accounts will come here and have a link that says shop Instagram. When I go here, it's just a feed that pulls from Instagram, or it's just like, okay, so then today, like whatever, let's just say, okay, so this tiny vase,
Right.
this would go into where I would be able to click. And it says like up here, we go shop Instagram. I would click on that. And then what I would see would be how I buy the vase. I promise
Okay.
you, making it easier is going to move product.
So I do have, like, if you go to furniture, like those stories have a shoppable link, but I wasn't sure how to do that to create an Instagram store since I'm not like selling and distributing. Like the orders go directly to the girl. So like if you were a seller, it would go to you. So like how do I couldn't figure out the tech to link all the things for
Okay.
the sales.
So, real quick, when I go to Etsy and I
Mhm.
buy 3 different items from 3 different stores, it's one transaction. Is that what
Same.
you provide?
Same. Yeah.
Great. So then if like in a dream world, like if you really want to move product, then what you would do was you would say that the shop Instagram, and you might, and this might be a total pain for you, but it would help with SEO, it would help with conversions, is at minimum. At minimum, I would create a blog post that's dedicated to that Instagram post where it is literally the same. I would upload the Instagram reel and then I would say link to every product. If because we want to buy what we see. And if you just make it easy for us to buy what we see, you will absolutely see your sales go up.
Okay, so how do I link it to a product? Because when I do a reel, you can't do a link in it.
No. So then here, I mean, and this is what, you would say like available now in the unbroken in the mini mall. I don't know what the mini mall is, right? And so we have to assume that people on Instagram are seeing us for the first time. You always have to play to the lowest common denominator. We
Mhm.
always have to assume that people actually don't know what they're looking at because from my lips to God's ears, I hope you have a real go viral. But if your store is not set up for virality, you're going to be buried under customer success tickets or DMs of people being like, how do I buy this? And you're like, of course, you can go to the mini mall. And you're like, what the heck is the mini mall? Like, so what we need to do is we make it essentially, and forgive my language, we need to make it dumb proof.
Yeah.
So I am a dumb consumer. I'm like, I don't know like where to go. So here I would say link in profile. And I would 100% like I wouldn't have the vendor application here. I would put that
Okay.
on my website.
Okay, it's fine.
I would have 2 links. One, it's Shop Mini Mall, and the other one is Shop Instagram. If your goal is to get people to buy, it's
Yeah.
one of 2 directives: Shop Mini Mall, Shop Instagram. If I clicked on Instagram,
Uh-huh.
I would be taken to very much similar to a page. I
Like a
would
landing page.
like a landing page. And on that
And then
landing
link
page
back to
is
the product.
just, yep. And
Okay.
it's just a post. And I could scroll down and be like, oh, okay, here is just like this. Here I would have the screen grab of the vase. Here I would have the screen grab of the staircase. Here I would have, and so I'm like, oh great, now I can click here. I can buy my staircase. I promise you
Okay.
that will be,
Okay.
and one of a point that I want to go through my points and I want you to tell me if they're terrible or not because they're going to help me make my point better. Okay. So number one was a transformation. I think you killed it. You know who they are and you know who they want to be. And then we just did a deep dive of your business and I was like, you're making it real hard for people to buy.
Okay, yeah.
You have to explain. And this is for anybody watching. Please, 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 please ask somebody who does not know anything about your business to go to your website and watch what they do. And if you just say, oh, no, 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 you have to go here, then you already know.
Good.
Any explanation means you got to fix it. I've learned this the hard way. Okay. Then the other reason Reason number two why people might not be buying is how likely is the outcome and how much effort is required. In your case, Amanda, likely outcome, if they receive their package, very little effort, high dopamine. That's great. You're doing well. You know your transformation and you know how much effort is going to be required. People prefer less effort. Generally, if you're buying from Instagram, less effort is a good thing. Lastly, is an unclear ICP or you're not niche enough. I actually think you're very niche. You are going after women who want dollhouses. That's a very specific niche. So what I would go through and add based on this conversation was how easy is it for somebody to buy?
Right.
And then number two, for you, I would go back and have like a very like serious come to Jesus moment. You have less than 500 followers. Now, on average, a website with lower ticket items, how much on average is an item for a miniature doll shop?
I would say they range from $6 and some are up to 60. And
Okay, great.
during Christmas, those were our high ticket things, and they sold through somebody else's newsletter that was promoting it, one of the shop vendors.
Amazing. So we can say, generally speaking, about a $20 price point on average.
Right.
Well, so because that price point is rather low, there is a high likelihood of somebody being able to make a transaction on that website, which would be great. So then it leads me just by process of deduction that you are very clear of the transformation. You're very clear of your ICP. How likely is the result? 10 out of 10. How easy is that transformation when they get that doll piece? 10 out of 10. So it leads me just by process of deduction, just by walking through your website. It is so hard to buy on your website.
Okay.
I would immediately go there. And this is for anybody who's watching. This applies to everybody's business. How easy is it for somebody to transact from social media to your sales page?
Got it. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah.
Amanda, you're incredible. It's so good seeing you and seeing
Aw,
how much your business is progressing and just how you're just staying consistent and doing the dang thing. When we first connected, you did not have the marketplace. And so for you to evolve into the marketplace, I am so proud of you. You're doing the impossible and you're serving a very specific niche market so well. Congratulations. Job well done. Stick to this. Think about think about making it easier, and then bring on strangers to watch how they're navigating with your site.
Okay. Yeah.
Good. And on the inside of the community, Amanda, if ever point in the future when you make those updates, you're like, I'm looking for somebody to test it. Can you test mine and I'll test yours?
That's a great idea.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
Okay,
love
cool.
that.
Thank
Amanda,
you.
how do people find you? Oh, how do people find you online?
Well, you can do the Designer Dollhouse or the Dollhouse Mini Mall on socials and website.
I thank you so much. I appreciate
Thank
you.
you, Jasmine.
Amazing.
Appreciate it.
I want to come back here and say, I didn't actually think I was going to be sharing that business coaching session, but I think that I should, because I literally showed in real time. Now, if you're listening to this in audio, it might make more sense for you to go and watch this on YouTube, because I was literally doing a deep dive diagnostic of her website. I brought it up in real time and I showed, hey, it's really hard to buy from your website. And then I had a light bulb moment. I am sitting there after this coaching session and I thought to myself, wow, on my podcast, I create these like lessons. I call them master classes. I'm literally teaching the things that I know about building my business, like how we've scaled to 7 and 8 figures and the things that we're doing. And these are all very basic and foundational, but every arm of the business, every new business we've ever started, we started off with what was the clear transformation? What is the likely outcome? What is the ease of that transformation? And we have a very specific idealized client. Like we have all of those things. So why am I talking about this? And for years, Amanda has been on the inside of Social Curator, and some reason it didn't click. I have come to believe that sometimes this stuff sounds esoteric, like very high level. It wasn't until I looked in her business and on her website that I saw very obvious gaps that probably many of us are too busy or too overwhelmed to even take the time to do. So what does this mean for you? I want you to invite somebody who's unfamiliar with your business. I want you to watch how they go through your website. Now, I know it's going to be tempting for you to say, okay, now click on that. No, okay, go over here. But just like how I just did with Amanda, I said, Amanda, I can't have you tell me how to navigate your website. Because if you have to tell me how to navigate your website, then we've already lost. So you need to watch, where are people getting stuck? What's not actually working? And so we want to do something that's going to make it as easy as possible for them to add things and check out. So this leads me to the final 2 reasons why people aren't buying. But just because we've been here a second, I'm going to review. Reason number 1 was there was an unclear transformation. Reason number 2, what was the likely outcome and the effort required to get that transformation? And reason number 3, if we do not have a specific niche. I want to pause here and say thank you so much for listening to the show. If this has been at all valuable, or you know somebody who wants to increase the sales, would you share this podcast with them? That would mean the world to me, and it makes you look really good because you want to grow your businesses together. Okay, reason number 4 why people aren't buying. Well, like we just showed with Amanda, it's just too hard. It was very difficult to find what you're looking for. We just experienced that on Amanda's website. And reason number 5 why people might not be buying is we don't actually understand average stats. So let's get a little bit nerded out here, because a lot of times business owners will set goals and say, I should be converting at this. And I ask, well, how did you come up with that? So I want to explain. Amanda shared the following statistics during the call. She said last month she got 412 unique visits to her website. She said she had a 50% open rate for her newsletters. That's incredible. And she also said in the last month, she got 100 new Instagram followers. Okay, so if we're sitting here and we're talking about this, I asked Amanda, great, now that I have these stats, what's the average cost of an item in your store? And she said the average cost of an item is $20. I said, great. So when people are checking out, what is the average cart order? What's the average bill? Like when somebody's paying your business, what is the average? And she said, it's about $50. I said, great. Average item is $20 and average cart order is $50. Okay. So then I went to ChatGPT and I said, for a sales page with an average product of $20, what does it convert between? And it said 2 to 5%. So the things that Amanda is selling for $20 on average, that website should be converting at 2 to 5%. Then I went to ChatGPT and asked for a sales page, and it gave specifics about her business. And then I said, for a sales page with an average cart of $50 for a product-based business, ChatGPT said it should be converting between 2.5% and 3%. Cool. So Amanda got 412 unique visits to her site. If we converted at the low end, if we converted at 2%, Amanda should have gotten around 8 sales. Amanda in the last month should have gotten 8 sales based on those stats alone, but she got 0. Now, if she had those 8 sales and she averages $50 per sale, she should have made over $400 in the last month. And so we know something about why people weren't buying, and we just broke down those 5 reasons why. So now we have a benchmark for Amanda. Hey, Amanda, we know that we're going to be moving the needle when you start converting at minimum at 2%. So that's going to be our very first goal. And then we have a very clear way to set that goal. So I'm very proud because after the coaching session, Amanda wrote the following. She sent me a DM and she said, I did my homework. I added search bars everywhere I could on my website. I also went into the Social Curator community to see what other people thought as my suggested based on those insights. I feel really good about the direction I'm headed. I love this, and I look forward to you saying the same thing as to you understanding truly the reason why people aren't buying, and now you have those 5 reasons to go and deploy. I want to say thank you for watching and listening to the Jasmine Star Show. It is always an honor and a privilege.